Welcome, Shelly.
Hi. Lovely
Hi.
to meet you.
Please tell everybody about who you are and what you do.
My name is Shelli I play violin and sing in a band called VLKA. We're like pagan metal. We were Viking metal. We've now rebranded as pagan metal to kind of like broaden our horizons a little bit. So that's
Hmm.
a little bit of a new thing. Um, I also play violin and do some backing vocals in a folk punk band called Matt Heartless and the Maverick Seven. Um, and I've got some solo stuff out there, which I'm not really doing at the moment because I'm trying to start my own band. I was playing some like acoustic stuff before, and then I kind of I reached my limit with that, where I was just like, I kind of run out of ideas basically. So I started writing heavier things, and that's the direction I'm going in now. So like, watch this space. I'm gonna be starting my own band soon, hopefully.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that new
Mhm.
project. So you are what kind of like inspirations are tickling you right now for that new thing?
So it's really hard to say. I mean, I think it's hard to say anyway, like how to sort of pigeonhole or classify your band. But like with this one, it's like extra hard because I'd say it's definitely got some proggy elements. A lot of the stuff I've written is um, so like it's very kind of violin led. I want to kind of, because I'm like, I love like Bach, like his violin sonatas and partitas. I just like, as far as I'm concerned, that's where metal comes from. Like he
Hmm. Hmm.
invented metal. So that's where I've taken quite a lot of inspiration from, like the drama of that. But
Hmm.
also, I would say, like Muse have always been like a huge influence to me, especially their Origin of Symmetry album, because it's like weird and hysterical and mental, and like that's kind of how I want my music to sound. Because like the main things conceptually, actually, rather than just musically, the main things that have kind of been inspiring me with like the stuff that I've been writing for myself um are things like do you know like the kind of concept of like holy madness, like kind of madness that is like kind of mystic, that is you're receiving some information from like elsewhere, from the divine basically. So there's stuff like that, and just like hysteria, and the idea of like, well, I want it to be like kind of very inspired by like the divine feminine. So those are like all of the kind of songwriting directions that I've, or concepts that I've kind of been using. But musically, I don't know how to describe it. I'm just gonna be I don't know. I'm gonna be working on stuff with like my guitarist in the next few weeks. We're gonna kind of try and like, because I've got some very rough demos and I want to kind of flesh them out a bit. And he's really, really good. He's like a classical guitarist as well, so I think it's gonna be pretty proggy, basically.
Yeah.
Drawing from like yeah, quite highbrow influences in some ways, I suppose.
Wonderful. It's already delightful to talk to you. You are giving 100% artist right now. I can just like feel it
Oh,
coming out of you.
thank
Just like the
you.
way that you're trying to like describe a sound and like this is going to be fun. So, I check out a band called Heavy Temple that's female fronted. The singer, she goes by High Priestess, and I hear Muse in her music, and I brought that up to her when I was talking to her, and she said that it was very surprising that I called that out because she thought that to herself and never shared it with anyone. So
Okay.
you may find some fun songs to listen to with her.
I will 100% check her out, or them out. Are they American or British
Yeah,
or?
they're from Philadelphia, actually. Um,
Okay, so I'll be able to catch them live anytime soon, which is a shame, but
well, or right now, who knows? So, I mean, they're out there, they're touring. They might be over there. All right. So, when did you first realize that you loved rock and metal music and you wanted to create more of it?
well, the first time I ever saw a woman doing what I do now, it was like a lightning bolt hitting my brain. And it was seeing, I can't even remember what it was. It might have been like a performance of, oh, was it a performance or fest? Not sure what it was, but I saw Courtney Love performing Celebrity Skin, well, Hull performing Celebrity Skin on TV. And I was just like, because I'd mostly seen like a few women playing guitar, but it was always a lot more calm and like, I don't want to say feminine because feminine is lots of things, but you know, like more like folky or ballady or whatever, whereas she was just being very, very Courtney. And I was just like, I was about 13, I think, at this point, and I was just like, oh my God, who is this woman? I need to be exactly like her. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of people had that experience watching Courtney Love. So from then I kind of went from being a fan of like, yeah, more pop music to just trying to seek out, well, like all of her music for a start, and then also like any other stuff that was like hers. And unfortunately didn't take me very long, because there's a lot more now, but yeah, unfortunately it's still quite a rare thing, I think. But just like the way that she performs and the way, like, just, yeah, she's just an icon. I know she's like a controversial person, not everyone likes her, but you cannot deny she's an icon.
Yeah,
So
I don't know who doesn't like her. Never met him. You know,
good, you hang out with better people than me.
well, I lived in Seattle for a while too, where it's not just that people like Courtney's attitude. It's not just that um the other women in Seattle actually have like some of the same like in your face, I'm going to be a comfortable woman. Maybe I feel like shaving my legs today, maybe I don't. But it's like a whole city of women like that. So
Oh,
so it's like it's in the air in Seattle. And I mean, if you think of like being in a bar full of Courtney Love, like it's kind of intense.
yeah. I bet.
Like
Yeah.
not everybody is like that like pissed off, but like underneath of like the like social grace is like that they're all thinking that way. So yeah, so Courtney Love is like a hero for Seattle. And
Cool.
I mean obviously she had her personal challenges, but everybody does.
Hmm.
I was like actually earlier I was just reading about somebody mentioned to me that like Lita Ford um had like a real hard time with her two marriages. She was married
Hmm.
to a guy in Wasp, and then she got married to another musician whose band I had never heard of until I read this interview. She
Hmm.
had two sons with him, and it turned into this crazy custody battle. And I was
Oh
just
God.
thinking about like how Doro Pesh never got married. Um, like I don't think Nina Hagen's ever been married. All of these people, like, oh, just so many. I was just like, hmm. Anyway, so
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that like that probably speaks to the fact that it's like one of the most important choices you'll ever make is who like who you get
your
hitched to.
life,
Who you,
your
yeah.
whole life. Yeah.
And, it can like completely determine your quality of life, can't it? Like who
Mhm.
you spend your time with. So you
Mhm.
have to be picky. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And also,
Or
I don't know if you've ever had this, but like I think I've had relationships where I've only, ugh, and this is quite hard for me to say. This is a very un-British thing to say, but like I've kind of only realised recently that I think some of the men that I've dated have been very like intimidated by me, and they've made me feel like that. I've made them feel a little bit like emasculated,
mhm,
not through anything I've said or done, other than like them kind of watching me be good at what I do, like on stage, and
mhm.
then that making them feel bad about themselves.
Oh yeah. I
Being,
have had that experience. I have had that experience. I had just did a show at the Louvre in Paris, France, and then
Oh my God.
the fellow said it was just a small show.
Still, that's a
Yeah.
pretty big deal. That's amazing.
So,
It's
anyway,
a small show at the Louvre. Only a small one, you know.
like the definition of belittling. So anyway,
Mm.
but you know, the same message was given to Stevie Nicks. Her dad told her that she would never get married because she was too successful. So,
Right.
yeah. I mean, but do you want to get married? Because like Lita Ford, just think about that. Or Tina Turner, think about that.
Oh God,
Or
yeah. Yeah.
Cher and whoever she was married to.
Sunny.
Um,
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You just have to be
you don't have to do it.
you don't have to do it, and you have to be very sure that it's not gonna like massively impact your career, basically.
Yeah, like we're hoping for the best here. Uh,
Hmm.
so
Yeah. Preparing for the worst.
is it a disappointment or a disaster? These are your
Yeah.
so
Options. Oh God.
all right, moving on, moving on. All right, if your music were a movie soundtrack, what would the movie be about?
Okay. So I will say what sprung to mind for me with this question is my band VLKA. Like I said, we're pagan metal, and we were very specifically Viking metal, and now we've broadened that out. So I joined about a year ago. Their old vocalist was leaving, and they needed someone else, and they thought we'll get a woman in this time. And my kind of headcanon for the story, just because we're kind of like a fun like conceptual band, and we all dress up on stage and put like Viking war paint on and stuff like that. My headcanon for it is like I'm not a warrior like they are, but I'm like a witch that they picked up from I don't know, like Ireland or Scotland or somewhere like that where they have my colour hair basically.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Character development.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I just kind of like aid them with their missions, with their raids and stuff, with my Celtic magic. So I think that's what the film will be about, just like the vodka, um, just the vodka backstory, and yeah, how that came to be.
I love it. Okay. So one more question about that.
Mhm.
What kind of visual would it be? Like a 70s horror, 80s kung fu, animation, you know?
Oh,
Like is this an
and
80s cartoon?
yeah, it could be like not a cartoon, but like, do you know you got all those like 80s adventure movies like The Never Ending Story and Labyrinth and ones like that.
Mm,
Those are
oh,
like all my favorite movies.
magical. So are we
Yeah.
going to see puppets?
Ah, we could see some puppets.
I love puppets. So I hope that there will be puppets in the Vilka movie. I mean, come on, like you guys are like on magical quest. There definitely should be puppets.
Puppets are like little magical creatures and stuff. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
definitely right there. I'm gonna make a
Okay.
note. Puppets.
On like a thing, like trying to get myself to make puppets. I like make all kinds of things, but like I don't know. My craft closet, my craft supply closet like doesn't have puppet stuff. Anyway,
What is this face behind you that's like a
this we're in my art studio.
like,
That
yeah,
This is
that
a
looks
sculpture of demonic Doro Pesh. So she just sits here,
oh,
and
that sounds
then she
cool.
actually has a fabulous pedicure, and then in her lap is a cast of my face as a candle that melted, like I lit it on fire, like a death effigy, and
Yeah, like a yeah, death mask.
just sort of like sacrificing to the goddess. But she's kind of got like Egyptian eyes.
Mm, that's amazing. I love it. That's
It's
beautiful.
my house is crazy, and I'm also parrot sitting. There are four
Oh, what
parrots
kind
in
of
my house.
parrot? What
Okay,
kind
so
of
there's an African gray, a cockatiel, a blue crown conure, and a sun conure.
well, I
Uh,
really want an African grey. So the fact that you said that, I was just but I've got four cats. So it
oh,
seems like probably not gonna happen.
yeah, you're gonna have to wait for like the cats to reincarnate as African gray parrots, and then you can get
Oh,
4 of those.
yeah,
Just
true.
adopt, don't shop.
Yeah,
Rescues.
absolutely.
These are all rescues. All right. So anyway, let's get back to the music.
Yeah.
This is an extremely fun interview so far. If
Oh,
you could pick, yeah, we're really going everywhere. So if you could pick bands for the lineup of a festival, who would you pick and where would you want the fest to take place?
so I wouldn't want to be specific, but it would have to be a really big, beautiful forest. Maybe with some really high, like redwood trees or something like that. We don't have those in this country. Sequoias, are they the same as redwoods? The really tall ones, you know, in California and that. So maybe somewhere like that, just like a redwood forest.
Amazing.
How many bands do I get to choose?
Oh, it's got like 6 or 5 or 7, something like that. A handful.
Okay. So I mean,
Or just a bunch, just whatever comes to your mind.
okay. Muse, because their stage show is always amazing, and I just love them. Nightwish, I think.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
They're just magical, wonderful, gorgeous people. Um, who else would I go for? Because it would have to fit the forest vibe. It would have to be like magical and or sci-fi. You know, couldn't just be like, you know, it would have to. I mean, I've got bands that I love who do like political songs, but a forest wouldn't be the right place for them. Maybe like I don't know if she'd really fit this, but like Lana Del Rey.
Oh yeah, why
Um,
not?
yeah,
Some
because
dark songs.
yeah, I love her. She's always like one of my most listened to artists on Spotify.
You should
She's
also check out a band from Portland, Oregon, so Courtney Love territory anyway, called Soul Grinder. They are definitely more like a doomy shock rock, but
Mhm.
melodically, I think there are a lot of songs that actually sound like Lana Del Rey.
Okay, Soul Grinder. I will check those
Mhm.
out.
I'll send them to you.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Nightwish, we got Lana Del Rey, we got Muse.
Oh God, who else? I would say I think The Cure,
Okay.
um, AFI,
Mm-hmm.
and who else did I have at my magical festival? I mean, I would probably just have like a lot of local Manchester bands
Okay.
who like who are just like Manchester's just we'll probably get onto this in one of the other questions, but Manchester is just like the scene is mind-blowingly good.
Oh, yeah. Manchester. There's a band over there.
Is it
Um,
Wayne Banshee? Because I know you interviewed Danny.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Wailing Banshee.
yeah. They're amazing, definitely. But it's just they're one of like so many amazing bands in the city. It's just it's just mind blowing. Just the
That's
talent.
cool.
Yeah. I just feel so like there's times when I do a gig like a hometown gig and I feel like very emotional just to be part of this scene with all these incredible people.
Mhm.
So yeah, Divinitas, Dakara. Divinitas are like metalcore, and they have an amazing lead singer called Andy, who's like also like a tenor opera singer.
Hmm.
So somehow he can switch between like doing clean vocals and like gravelly metal vocals and still doesn't like ruin his voice. And I don't understand how. He's obviously got some skills, and I don't understand what they're. And Dakara are like a kind of weird cyberpunky kind of thing, like quite like ravey in some ways, but also like really heavy.
Nice.
My friend's band Square Wilds, they're like prog, they're really really good. Um, and it's a band I saw the other day called Stellaris, who are like they're from Huddersfield, they're not from Manchester, but yeah, they're just like another like quite proggy kind of thing. So that
Yeah.
would those would be like my like festival choice, and Volker obviously we'd play.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but those would be like my. I think I would have like the big bands as like my headliners
Hmm.
on each. and then all of the like smaller bands could support them, and that would just be like, I don't know, that would then bring the people in, I suppose, to like then get to then get exposure for all these incredible local bands.
I love this whole idea. Big trees. I'm imagining fireflies. And
Oh
then
yeah, we don't
also,
have of
I
that.
don't know how many wait, you guys don't have fireflies?
Don't have fireflies.
Oh.
Not
Okay.
fair.
I'll like mail you a parrot and a jar of fireflies.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
And maybe some redwood tree seeds. But I also am just like noticing Vanitas,
Oh,
Divinitas.
Van.
You would have
Yeah.
them there. I'll add that to this list that I have here. Um, and Stellaris, like all these sort of like Roman influenced British names.
Ooh, I
It's
hadn't thought
cool.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a theme. I hadn't thought of that at all. But yeah,
They're
that's really
great
cool.
names too. These bands have good names.
Very
Um,
kind of sounding names. Yeah.
so looking back, what was a big decision you made that turned out to be a great choice?
This is a really boring answer, but moving to Manchester. But the main reason is I've lived in like quite a few places in the UK. I was from Kent originally, which is the southeast, and I've lived in London, which is also the southeast. And I met a guy and fell in love and moved to the northwest. I moved to Liverpool, and now I live in Manchester. And Manchester is by far like the best music scene and also the most inclusive. There's so many more women on this scene than I found anywhere else. We're still very much the minority, but it's
Mhm.
not treated weird here. It's not.
Yay! Oh,
Yeah,
that's so
you,
exciting.
yeah.
Mm.
You don't have to like prove yourself. People are already like, yeah, you can join the band. Whereas like where I grew up, it was just considered like sort of. I don't. You know that thing they say that as a woman you have to like be twice as good for half of the recognition. It was always that this like uphill struggle to be like, can I come play with you? And like, yeah, because of that, it like took me so long. Like I just started
Mhm.
out as like a solo artist in Kent just because I was so sick of just trying to start a band and it not working out, or people just dismissing me outright.
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of women listening to this will be like, yep, been there. Yeah, I started like playing solo, but like interestingly, when I started playing violin in bands, that was it's so interesting what happened, because when I played guitar and sang,
Mhm.
I think because a lot of men were like, well, I want to do that,
Mhm.
because a lot of bands get started by like singers and guitarists, don't they, I suppose. So that's where when I was like dismissed, or like we don't envisage our band having a female singer or whatever. But then when I started playing violin, like I started playing violin when I was like 17, but like when I started kind of being like, I feel good enough to play in bands now, and kind of suggesting that, everyone was interested. It's
Oh.
really interesting that they didn't think,
Mhm.
they dismissed my ability to play guitar,
Mhm.
but
They're
for
like,
some
you can play
reason,
strings, but you can't take over. Yeah, we don't want you to. Ah, we knew
yeah,
what they were saying without them.
yeah,
That's
it's
so
really
annoying. Ugh.
it's really bizarre, because it's like everybody knows that violin is an incredibly difficult instrument. And guitarists, even like to this day, still treat me like I'm some kind of sorcerer, and they're just like, but it doesn't have frets. And it's
Oh.
like, yeah, that's the easy bit. The hard bit is your bow hand, because
Hmm.
it's like you've got to hold it in this really unnatural position and have it really loose, limber and stuff. So like
Hmm.
the frets is like the least of your worries, or the lack of
Hmm.
frets. So yeah, it's really interesting how like that didn't make any sense, basically, where
Yeah.
that came from. Just really inconsistent. Sorry, so yeah, and answer your question, Manchester. Moving to Manchester.
No, all of that background is really interesting and so relatable. So
Yeah,
relatable. Just like going to auditions and then being like, "Oh, well, you don't even need to bother like trying out because we don't want a girl in the band. We don't
yeah,
want to be Paramore. We don't want to be the backup band for Avril Lavigne. We just don't want a girl in the band, period. And that again and again and again. And so I don't know. I guess it's like a lot of women talk about the heaviness of starting later because you
Yes.
have to fight through this inertia to get started,
Yes.
and then just like there's a whole bunch more stuff that happens after that. But
Mhm.
anyway,
That's 100% been my experience as well. Just having to start a little bit later, just because I like spent so long, like I was always like writing songs, even before I knew any music theory or anything. I
mhm,
just had guitar and would figure out what a chord was, and would just like, I would always be writing songs.
uh-huh,
Um, and I've still like, some of them is stuff that I'm going to use now for like my band that I'm putting together. So that some
mhm.
of this stuff is like 20 years old or something, but I'm just like, um yeah, like I've always had that material. I've always had like an incredible amount of drive. I've always had like a good singing voice. I've always been able to play a couple of instruments, but it's taken me longer than guys, purely because I've not been given that
The
starting point.
opportunities, yeah, it's
Yeah, exactly.
so like big air hug, all of the girls feeling
Yeah.
this conversation right now.
Yeah.
So
Because it would be easier if more women were interested in it as well. Well, I think they are interested. I think the issue is confidence a lot of the time.
because they get shut down every
Yeah.
time they try. And so it's like because in your locality there's a smaller number of women that are that feel confident to keep hammering until they
Yeah.
break through. There's a lot that would, but like when they, got to the concrete wall 4 times or however 40 or whatever
Mhm.
it took, Joan Jett got dismissed from 23 labels after the Runaways broke up. Tina Turner didn't get her
And
first Grammy.
agree.
23. Yep. 24th one was like, okay. And so then, and just, I don't know, Tina Turner didn't get her first Grammy till she was 44. Cher's biggest hit happened when she was 52. And
I
so,
believe.
yep. So it's okay. It takes a little.
Yeah. Yeah. We can
But
do it later and it's fine. And yeah. And you know what? I think the good thing about the music industry now being a much more DIY space is that we don't have record labels now saying like, no, you're too old, so we can't sign you,
mhm,
because women could take that much longer to get
yeah.
taken, to get the opportunity.
Mhm.
So yeah, now it's just like we can
And
all be 21 forever and just carry on playing
why
music.
not? And the other thing is like because you can do so much without a label, if like basically it just comes down to are you willing to invest some money and are you willing to do the legwork and the daily tasks that now you're not outsourcing. If you
Mhm.
are, you can spread your music online like honestly faster than you would spread it if you were on tour spending money touring,
Mhm.
like everything else that goes with that. um so yeah, but what is your favorite gear and your favorite stage wear?
Favorite gear. Okay, I'll show you because I only just got it and
Hopefully it's black. It makes it through the
so
plain
happy.
fairy background.
Oh yeah. Well, let's find out. So can you see this?
Yes.
So this,
Awesome.
can you see how many strings this has? One, two, three, four,
Oh
five.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
oh yeah.
This is a 5 string, and it's also electroacoustic, so I don't have to have like a pickup and remember various things to bring with me everywhere.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I've been paying this off for like the last year, but I just took it home in the last few
Worth it.
weeks. Yeah, totally. And yeah, so like the reason I got it was because I was thinking about getting a viola, because I wanted to be able to play the lower end as well, because I always loved like playing my G string, just that really lovely like deep woody resonance of it. So I was like, I'd like to go even lower, so maybe I'll get a viola. And then someone suggested to me getting a 5 string violin, and I was like, do these things exist? What?
Mm.
um And I went to my local music shop, Forsyth's in Manchester, and they had one, and I tried it, and I was like, I'm in love. So I was like, can I pay it off in increments? And they said yes. So they put it aside for me until
Yay.
this month. So this is my new favorite bit of gear. Her name is Morgana.
Nice.
Morgana Le Fay.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm still figuring out how to play it because there's an extra string, like
Uh-huh.
the strings are all a little bit closer together.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'm like hitting other strings and stuff a lot more than I would, but that will come with time.
Yeah.
I'm not worried
Yeah.
about that. I'm practicing as much as possible. But stage wear, it's actually kind of the opposite. I have to be barefoot
Mhm.
whenever I'm on stage, just because I get so warm, and I don't know if it's just being like all my heritage is like Northwestern European, which is why I'm so like pale. So like I'm like Irish on my mum's side and Scandinavian on my dad's side. So I just overheat so quickly. And like if you ever see any videos of VLKA playing or photos, the guys are all wearing like full like outfits with like Adam, our bassist and other vocalist, he has like a big fur coat on.
Mhm.
I'm just next to him in like a tiny little top and a raggedy kind of skirt and no shoes or anything, and I'm sweating buckets like more than any of the guys are. So having bare feet helps kind of regulate my temperature.
Strangely,
So
same for me. Like my feet
really,
get really warm and like I one of my favorite things about living on the West Coast was the temperate climate because then I could wear sandals all the time. It's so random,
yeah,
but you know, like when your feet are bare, it's like so much better for the circulation or something. I don't know.
something like that. I don't know. Like apparently it's good for like your nervous system and stuff as well. I'm
You
not
gotta
sure.
boost it.
I would do it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure because it's all going up your spine and everything and like into your hips and
Yeah,
um yeah, on my mom's side it's all different regions in the British Isles, so I love
yeah.
visiting them.
Probably the same thing then, just like absolutely no ability to cope with heat over
Nope.
50 degrees Celsius.
Yeah,
I
like
don't know what Fahrenheit is. I know you guys use Fahrenheit. I have no idea.
yeah, you know, I've been trying to learn Celsius and I haven't figured it out. So,
No.
anyway, what is a performance memory that you'll never forget?
So this was only this year. Um, so there's a competition in the UK called Metal to the Masses. And so it happens all over the country and in Scotland and in Wales and in Northern Ireland. And it's like a battle of the bands kind of thing, and each winner from each region gets to play at Bloodstock Festival, which is like the biggest metal festival in the UK. And the Manchester one, I mean, I don't know if they were just like blowing smoke up our ass or whatever, but like the Manchester one, the organisers of Bloodstock said like it's the hardest competition. And some of the bands I mentioned earlier, Divinitas, Dakara, yeah, I don't think I mentioned any others. Like they were in the final with us, so
Mhm.
we got all the way to the final out of 32 bands, and I was very confident that we were going to win, just because I was like, I can't imagine, like everything kind of aligned for us. We played so well, and we had a lot of fans in the audience as well. Like everyone just went insane when we were playing. And I kind of threw in some new stage moves that I don't normally do, like hanging off a pillow while I'm singing and stuff like that. And that was, we all afterwards, we were all just like, do you know what? We don't win, doesn't matter, because we couldn't have done any more. So like, what can you do? It just means they just want something else. And we didn't win. The amazing Hellbearer won. They're like a thrash metal band. But I thought I was going to be more disappointed with not winning, but I was just really, really happy for
Mhm.
them. And just being in that final with Hellbearer, Divinitas, and Dakara, it was just like mind blowing. Just
Oh,
like this scene is fucking incredible. And to be honest, I think they should have put everyone from like the two semi-finals at least on at Bloodstock, because like the standard is just so high.
Amazing.
That's when that's what I was talking about earlier, when I got emotional just being part of this scene. And like one of the guys from Divinitas, Andy, who's, like I said, trained opera singer, he said to me afterward, he complimented me on my voice, and I was just like, that really means something.
Oh,
It means something coming from a like a proper singer.
wow, you're hyping the Manchester scene so well right now.
Honestly,
I'm going to
incredible.
London in September to show at Chelsea Old Town Hall
Oh,
and at the women's Biennale, so all
nice.
women artists. And then, so I'm gonna be there for a while, and I'm like, maybe I should take the train to Manchester and check some stuff out.
You know what, Joe? If you do, me and Danny will like hang out with you, and we'll show you around, and we'll go to some gigs, and like you can do a whole podcast about it. So
That would be so fun. That's a great idea.
yeah,
Okay, keep in touch.
yes,
Um, yeah, plus I did also try to make plans with Danny from Wailing Banshee and uh wasn't sure if it was like too hard for her to get to London to like do a hangout, so maybe it's just better if I go over there.
maybe
So, where
yeah.
can everybody listen to your music and follow what you do?
Okay, so I'm very active on Instagram, and I just kind of, that's kind of my main like hub where everything kind of shoots off from, if you see what I mean. So if you find me on Instagram, Shelli LaFay, Shelli is Shelli, then LEFAY. So from there, like, I've got my link tree with all my like Bandcamp stuff, and that's my solo stuff. But you can also find me under that name on Spotify. I've got about 5 songs on there, including my first EP, which is from a couple of years ago, called Feral Hearts, and a couple of singles I've done since then. Also, Matt Heartless and the Maverick 7. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and what else? Yeah, we've got a Spotify page. We've got an album on there called To the Mountain, which is like fucking brilliant, though I do say so myself. So if you like political folk punk that's also a little bit what would the word be? Got a little bit of like ska punk to it as
Hmm.
well. Then check out Matt Heartless and the Maverick. Matt Heartless and the Maverick 7. And where else can you find me? I mean, VLKA, but like I'm on the socials, but we've not recorded anything with my vocals or violin on it yet. But that will be coming soon. So don't worry. Just
Exciting.
stay tuned. Yeah. So yeah, the usual places basically. All of the socials and Spotify.
And okay, so last question. After a long day of being a rock goddess, tours, fests, practice, writing, all the things, what is your favorite way to practice self-care?
So I think all my answer to this would be really basic, but um I think um going to the gym is really important to me. Just making sure I go and keep myself healthy, and like go to classes like HIIT, if that means,
Mhm.
you guys, high intensity
Yeah, yeah.
interval training, stuff like that, which just kind of means I have the stamina to like sing the way that I do. Keeps my lung capacity at a good level and stuff like that, I suppose. But also, do you know what? Like, this is such a boring answer, but I need to like to just have a really long sleep.
Mm.
There's nothing better than sleep, and it's I only kind of found this out recently, but apparently women need like more sleep than men, because all sleep studies ever were done on men.
I
Um,
was gonna
so,
say the exact same thing. I was gonna be like, they only studied men, so they thought it was 8 hours, but for women, it's 10 hours.
yes, exactly. If not a bit more when you're on your periods.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know about you. I don't know about all the women watching. Has anyone ever commented on how much you sleep and you've had to feel bad about it and be like, oh, you're right, I'm really lazy? Well, actually, now I just say, like, no, we need more sleep.
You know,
We,
come to think of it, people have said stuff about that. I don't live with anyone in my house, so I don't usually hear it. But now that I think about like I've traveled and people have like remarked on it, they'll be like, "Well, it's 7 o'clock. I'm gonna brush my teeth,"
Mhm.
because I like
Yeah,
getting up early. So
Mhm.
I just want to go
I,
to bed early.
yeah, I like getting up early, but like it's difficult being a musician because like a lot of your
Right.
work
Hmm.
night, and so then I need that 9 hours of sleep to just feel normal.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a shame. I think like maybe when I get more rich and famous, I'll just start demanding doing like, like Jamie Lee Curtis suggested matinee gigs. I'm just gonna that just so I can get up early and see the nice part of the day. And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. When Jinx was touring on the Satanic Panic tour, Coven could have been the headliner, but Lucifer was the final act of the night. And I thought, that's so great because Jinx is in her 70s. And I was like, oh, good for her that she prioritized like getting done her set before 8 o'clock.
that's
And
great.
yeah, I mean, personally, I would love to go to a show that starts at like 5 p.m. and, kind of wraps up like by 9. And so I don't know, maybe we should just like start somehow making that happen. But
Yeah. Yeah, because you could easily argue like, well, the rock and metal world is changing. There's more women in it now. Women need more sleep. Women need things like menstrual leave. Um, so maybe gigs need to be rethought. Like the whole kind of
yeah,
all the conventions need to be rethought to be more inclusive
yeah.
to women.
And also just like it's kind of like less ageist to have your show earlier because a lot of metal fans aren't like I
Spring
don't know,
chicken.
like yeah, they're not like college age students that like can stay up overnight and still function the next day. I mean, I actually never in my life was capable of doing that. I've never pulled an all-nighter.
Really, even as an
No, I love my bed.
fair enough, but like I went to art school, and because I'm very bad at time management, I was always pulling all nighters because I had to, or I wouldn't have handed anything
What
in.
was your major in art school?
So like fine art painting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You
Oh, was
still
it?
do it?
Oh, yeah. So, I have to turn my. How do I turn my backgrounds off,
I
Joe?
don't know.
Uh, okay, I don't know how, but like if I was able to do that, you'd see like some of my paintings behind me.
Okay.
But some of those will be on my Instagram as well. If people
Okay,
want to
yeah,
check.
send them to me so that when I make the post, people can get a visual. Um,
Okay.
so that's
Sorry
super
about.
cool. I'm super excited to see those. It's this series has proven something that I already thought was true, confirmation bias, which was just that the women in metal, and I can only speculate on the why, but my speculation is that we're like a little bit repressed from having to fight through the biases, but our
Yeah.
creativity is explosive as a result of that. And so women
Mm.
in metal are often multidisciplinary because they are
Mm.
trying to express themselves and they find an outlet somewhere.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Have you interviewed a lot of female musicians who are also artists? Because I bet that's
Yeah.
very common.
Hmm.
I know.
Artists or they're community leaders, like they volunteer, or they have like other outlets like creative baking and
Oh.
comic book illustrators and all kinds of stuff. I think most of the women that I've talked to have been multidisciplinary.
Mm.
Isn't
I
that
guess,
interesting?
yeah, it's amazing, but like, I wonder if that's just the difference between male and female brains. Like, men are a little bit more like, a bit more single-minded, and women can be a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because I can't do two things at once. So they
Listen,
do
men
say,
only think about one thing and it's disgusting. So
yeah, that's true. Well, maybe that's what it is then. There's like
we
90.
can't do this. Lots of men watch this channel and adore us, and we have to be nice to them. We love you guys. We're
We
kind of,
love
yeah.
we do, but yeah, I think maybe that is. I know that that's true. They think about one thing and it's disgusting. Um,
Ah. Okay, well, thank you so much, Shelly. I
Thank you
will
for having
keep in
me. It's been
touch.
really. Yes,
Bye.
definitely. Bye bye.